right, welcome in. Another episode of Going for Two. We're finally back in studio. And of course, our first show back. We can't get the TV to work. Big surprise. These guys don't know anything about technology. We brought some special guests. We have Scott Knight, the head coach of the London Werewolves, and Jessica Knight, the defensive end and superstar of the London Werewolf provincial champion. So appreciate you guys being here.
Appreciate it.
What a cool looking logo.
Yeah.
Big fan of that.
Yeah, Wolfpaac, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's actually a lager from England.
Okay.
We were scrolling through and looking for. So Wolfpaac is actually an acronym. So it stands for Women's of Ladies Football. Premier Amateur Athletic Combine.
Okay.
Right.
So obviously, in the realm of social media at this point, most Wolfpaac aliases and URLs are pretty much eaten up by all the other sports teams around. So
Right.
we got something close to what we wanted, and then we found this really great logo online. Sent them a text and say, "Hey, you okay if we use your logo for our football team?" And the rest is history. So.
Cool.
Well, it's good to know, 'cause
Wolfpaac, all I think is the NWO.
That's what I was just thinking. You guys are just at wrestling, so this is going to really hit home right now with the NWO Wolfpack, right?
Well, I thought we were going to have to break the news to Scott that he spelled Wolfpack wrong. It seems like it was intentional. So, I'm happy that it was intentional. Now, the season is just about to get underway.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about last season. I mean, you know what? I'm going to start even further back.
Yep.
You and I met because we're both alums of the same high school. Kaylin's actually a Westminster alum as well. We were doing a little bit of a fundraiser thing for the school, and you told me what you did, and I was like, whoa. I didn't even know that existed. So
Really, really new on the scene. So probably not last fall, but the fall before was the first official round of in the OFFL. There was a U18 girls division for the first time ever.
okay.
Just 3 teams. So Wolfpaac, York, and Cumberland Panthers. Now the Cumberland program has been playing with girls between flag and tackle for about 3 years. They just had no one to play.
Right.
So they rolled it down. So there's just kind of a 3-team round robin we did the first year, a couple home games, and then sort of a jamboree style finals. We lost to Cumberland 7-0 in the finals on a snowy day in York.
Right.
So we only had 10 girls made it down with the weather, and so they had about 23 girls on the field. So we held them as long as we could, and we just kind of ran out of gas at the last second. So.
No, that's still a valiant effort right there.
100%.
Absolutely, yeah.
The girls were amazing. And our girls, like I said, we're a really young squad, so have a lot of time left.
Yeah.
Last year's squad, probably the majority of them were grade 9s and 10s playing against 11s and 12s. So they held their own, and we just great bunch of athletes, right?
Yeah. So off here we were talking about continuity and being able to bring that team back with you again, right? So have you been able to install some more game plans for this upcoming season?
So our head coach Sean Wilson has kind of taken his opportunity. So we kind of look at it last year last year was kind of our U10 year. Mm-hmm. So this year we moved up kind of the U12. So we moved away from, straight post set under center to more zone, some zone stuff this year.
Yeah.
So every year we're installing more principles to the girls. This year we'll move from a straight 3 over defense to, because we play 6-on-6.
Yep.
So we're moving to a couple different sets on defenses. We're going to add some blitz packages, and so a little different stuff this year.
Blitzing, all right.
I was going to say, you said blitz packages. My first question was, how many down linemen do you have, and how many can you send? Because all I kept thinking was, it doesn't take that long to get to a quarterback. You have a defensive end right here, who I assume gets to the quarterback. So if you can put someone behind her, or she eats a double team, things can happen.
It's a very interesting dynamic. So that's why we took it down and really simplified it for the girls. Just start from the base, right? We run power middle. Right, dives and set
Don't
up.
give away all your secrets.
No, it's okay.
The Army playbook. I like this. Army Navy, right?
Well, actually, the one team, Peel, actually switched to the veer for a bit.
Oh, really?
Right? It's like running 2 running backs into the quarterback, just kind of met in the middle, and then all 3 of them went different directions. You had to try to figure out where the ball was going. So it was very interesting. But so because it's 6-on-6, both your tackles are eligible. So you kind of play with the center and 2 ends on the offensive line, but both ends are eligible in the passing game. Mm-hmm. Only the center's not eligible. A lot of teams just use 2 down linemen on the offensive line, so they have more offensive options. We play with 2 ends and a nose. We just like that format for now. We could switch to 2-2-2 or whatever makes sense as we go. But yeah, so there's a lot of options, but it moves pretty quick, right? And so because we play on a modified field width-wise, there's still a lot of room. Like you're playing sideline to hash marks, technically between the two numbers, but we play full length. So there's a lot to cover, and full kickoffs, full punts, kicked extra points.
And we're not talking flag. We're talking
100% tackle.
Full equipment, 100% tackle. And I think that's like the unique part to what I was surprised by, and like, it dominated most of our conversation the first night we met was like, how is it possible that we're football guys. How is it possible that we were unaware that this existed? Like, we don't get you enough coverage, it sounds like.
100%. London struggles a little bit now that the media people have all kind of recombined, the TV has recombined, and so we lost a lot of that local coverage stuff. So we were very lucky. We got some coverage from Mike Stubbs last year. Julie Atchison came out to one of our practices. Brett Lyle has done a couple he covered our first game, did a couple things for us. But it's really been few and far between. So we're so happy to have an opportunity to come and do a program like this, just to try and get the word out there, right? Because London is such a football city.
It's just a sport, and they get behind their teams, right?
Well, there's so many sisters and cousins and nieces that have been hanging out at football games with brothers and everybody else. That have been standing on the sideline just throwing the ball back and forth because there was nothing else to do. We're actually a lot more talented than you think they are, right?
Right.
So, and then there's been a real resurgence in London in the whole rugby as well. So just goes to Laurier. They won us a consolation 2 years ago or a year ago. They'll be back at it this year. They won the city championship in the last 2 years. So rugby, like at Laurier, has about, I think, 70 girls out for their rugby team, right? So our first year, our core obviously was predicated on Jess doing a great job recruiting, was predominantly Laurier rugby.
So is she your recruiting coordinator?
And the social media coordinator. She runs the TikTok. I piddle away at the Instagram and do some Facebook stuff. But
It's like, what do you have to do then? Like, do you just go to school and like, hey, you look like you're athletic, come play football?
Yeah, basically any girls I see anywhere, if they look like they're a little bored, I'm like, hey, would you be interested in this? Because all you can do is try. All the girls that I got out were just girls where I was like, hey, if you're looking for something to do, we're starting this program and it's great and it's like a sisterhood. So any small bodies, big bodies, everybody fits in football. Right. So it's really just a great place where we can get anybody to come and try it.
I would literally be messaging every female basketball player in the whole city.
Well, and that's a good thing too. So all of the girls are mostly multi-sport athletes, right? So Jess came up through synchronized skating. She plays club volleyball as well. So we recruited volleyball. We recruited at Devilettes. All the girls in the school, different things. When I go to the rugby games to watch her play, I talk to the rugby coaches and say, hey, listen, this is coming. Right. If you're interested, it's out there. And so I actually had some girls come in from out of town a little bit. So Mustangs had a Chatham girl last year. She's went back. Now Chatham has its own program this year. So it's blowing up like crazy. So and then they just, so it's flag, it's kind of predicated on the roll up from flag too, right? And so they just announced this year that flag will be in the 2028 Olympics. So it's now an Olympic sport. So, and there's over 40 D1 schools in the States now that offer girls flag football scholarships.
Wow.
So there is a market for it. There is a place for it. So, and a lot of great programs. So same game, same sort of thing. A lot of provincially funded programs to help promote the sports. She's headed into sports marketing at possibly Guelph in a couple of years, and a lot of the girls that have been coaching now have done mentorships in the CFL, and so there's a lot of great programs to promote women in this sport. So, and
a lot of universities now have women's flag teams, correct?
Well, we're aligned with OWIFA as well, so that's the Ontario Women's flag program. So it's actually 11-on-11 contact flag.
Okay.
Oh wow.
So they play. So it's flag to tackle. But they block full contact.
That's kind of like the NFL now.
Yeah. Sadly, it does seem like a man like that soon. But yeah, so it's huge. Western has over 100 girls that are playing right now. They just won the provincial championships. They're headed out to nationals. I know there's 11 or 12 colleges in Ontario alone that are playing in those things. So a big bunch of big events. They just finished up their season. They play 5-on-5 flag, which is what the flag is. So. Jess was on Team Ontario for flag prior to going into this, and then switched to tackle Ontario last year. So.
Right. Yeah. No. And you know what? When we first started this show, the whole purpose of our show was to bring light to sports that we didn't know anything about, and Bring Lights are for anybody. So if there's anybody out there that's watching, or if you know of something else that's interesting out there, let us know, because we will come out and meet you, or we'll have you come here and we'll sit down and chop it up, and we'll make sure you get the spotlight you need. So for Jess, one of the first questions that we asked you, is it okay, Jess, or is Jessica better?
Whatever works.
Okay. I want to make sure I get my stars right. One of the first questions that we asked you was, do you play for the Laurier football team? And you're like, no, I'm a basketball player. So that's great. But what gets you into football from before then? What got you into football originally?
It's really just me being younger, watching that sport with my dad. My brother played for a little bit for LMFA.
Okay.
And then when I heard about there was a league starting up, a flag league with Jake and me, he was like come out here, you'll love this. And I kind of just fell in love with the sport. Even starting with flag was so great, seeing other girls that liked the same things that I did. Because I grew up trying to play, but never really had the space to do it.
Right.
So now that there's so many centers, I think it's great for girls younger and older, that there's somewhere for them to go and an outlet for them to have to play their favorite sport.
And if your brother threw you a football, would you be able to catch it?
No.
I've
Is that why you play? I was going to say, why do you play defense? It takes a certain kind of crazy, but it's because of the hands now, right?
So the story behind that is her brother is a D1 pitcher at North Dakota State.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense then, yeah.
It's not just the average arm coming at you. I'll tell you that.
It's a missile.
He only had fastballs. Were you telling me on the football field? There was no touch.
So it's really interesting. So we actually went to SoFi. He was in Cali at JUCO in Cali. And so we went down to see him. He had knee surgery not this Christmas before, so he couldn't fly home. So we went down to Cali for Christmas to meet with him. And we actually, while we were down there, did a tour of SoFi. We're all Chargers fans. So, and you get to go down to the field. Yeah, I know. Dude, 43
great uniforms, though.
43 years.
You look good.
Well, that's the question we get that all the time. How come these kids are not in powder blue, man? But so we get down there, so we get to go on the field, and he can throw a football about 70 yards.
Wow.
So, and the crazy part is, because that's what they do for long toss, right? His buddy from Woodstock, who's a catcher with them, throws about 85. It's nuts how far they can chuck those things, right? So,
it's all in the hips, right?
Yeah. So.
But he can't get off the line as fast as you can.
No, she break him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a tall, lean kid. She's
Yeah.
she's the muscle in the family for sure.
So did you find D-end, or did D-end find you?
I kind of started on O-line, actually, on the offensive side of the ball, playing a mix of guard and tight end. So I was out catching passes for a little bit.
Okay.
And I won too many drops for my liking, but no, they put me on the defense side of the ball, and it was kind of just getting there to make the play. It just makes such a big difference in the game when you get a sack or when you get a tackle for loss.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of fell in love with it, and I can play a bit of both ways if we really need it, but my heart's always in DN. So.
Are you a trash talker on the field there?
A little bit.
Do you dance when you get a sack too?
Only over certain quarterbacks. Gotta stay social.
Yeah.
It's a tight knit community. After every game, we always talk. Even with my Team Ontario girls, it's such a great sisterhood to have. So I always hug them whenever I see them, and no, we all know it's just we're playing the game we love.
Do you hug them and then whisper horrible things?
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
So what's it like playing for your dad, though? I'm going to put you on the spot. I played hockey growing up, and my dad was my coach. And I got to about the age of 13. He's like, I can't do this no more.
Yeah, no.
Because I was a little jerk.
We butt heads. I'm basically a miniature version of him, so we kind of argue the same. But I know that he's really experienced, so I know where he knows where he's coming from. And him and Sean together have kind of found the right way to approach me, so I don't get super defensive about it. So,
I have a good system. So
yeah, I got my competitiveness from him. So
I do more of the technically at the top end, but more president and chief administrator. So got a good coaching group of guys, well experienced. So Sean Wilson was the president of LMFA for a long time, coached in T-Birds and different locations.
So you're not the dad that's so you lost contain in the fourth quarter.
No, still that guy. Should have swam, man. What are you doing with that? That makes no sense, right? So
now, were you learning zones at a young age and playing man coverage and everything too? So you're able to teach that to the girls that are coming onto the team now?
No, although I do pick up things really quickly. Mm-hmm. So even over the last couple of years with Coach Sean, with all the knowledge he's kind of giving me and all the sports just I've been able to pick up on TV, it's been really helpful. And I'm one of the captains on the team, and I just love being able to see younger girls it click in their head and then be like, oh, like, I know what I'm supposed to do now. I'm going to go get a girl. Like, she's done for.
That's like that captain's coach mentality right
Yeah.
there, right?
So the crazy thing about it is that the one thing that with Sean, because there's so much dichotomy with the guys and the girls, right? So first of all, the girls just want to be treated like the guys. They want to be called linemen. They don't want different titles. They want exactly how it goes. They want the 100% same experience as the boys. But there's certainly some interesting conversation on the sidelines. Obviously,
I bet you it's a little different.
But I'll tell you, the one thing that girls don't do that boys always did is ask why. Not a single girl has ever taken an instruction and went, why? Right? You coach boys, they played in the sandlot, they played in recess at school, they played a little bit here and there, they watched on TV.
Well, your ski made the mistake. I did it. I want to make that very clear.
Girls just like, okay, coach, whatever you want us to do, we're out, let's do it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's been, installing stuff has been really great. They pick it up so fast.
I'm
right?
so jealous.
I'm dealing with that at home. My son is 2.
I
always
coach
says
men's
no.
and it's horrible. I coach 18 and 22-year-olds and it's you want to put your face off this bar on more than one occasion.
Honestly,
Daily.
our biggest problem is getting them to stop chatting. Like it's like they just want to chat.
Like-
And it's like, could you just stop hugging for 5 seconds and just play some damn football?
This grade came from coaching football.
Totally understand. Totally understand.
Now, the new season's about to come up here. It's about, you said like middle of May?
Yeah, so Jamboree probably around May 11th, and then we're off the long weekend because Flag Nationals are that weekend. And then so kicking the full season, I think it's like the 25th of May.
Yeah.
So and then they run right till finals. The finals and it'll be up in Cumberland in Ottawa on July the 13th. And then the girls will, the main crew will leave right from there to go to nationals in New Brunswick. So Jess is headed to New Brunswick probably in. I think they have to be in New Brunswick on the 20th or the 22nd
Okay.
for nationals for
Busy summer.
Yeah. Always.
Yeah. And this year, you're going up a division, so you're going to be into U19. Is what
We were U19 the whole time. So
You were- okay.
regardless of our ages, we've always played
Okay.
U19. So we've always been in the top division. We're hoping at some point we can get another round of coaches. So we're really always recruiting for. So one thing that's really important to us is that we get female administrators and female coaches and female strength and conditioning people as well.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime anyone's interested, come on out. So we're looking for, if we get to a second team, we're really close to numbers for that now. We'd love to get a U16 team as well. Obviously,
Okay.
can train the transition. We're getting in contact with a couple of the flag organizations that are kind of working this fall and hoping to start that. And OWFL did run a fall program, so they ran a spring league and a fall league. So the fall league wasn't quite as popular.
Right.
So this year they're actually transitioning to fall flag.
Okay.
So we're hoping to develop a bunch of girls in fall flag, and then we work indoors over the winter, 1 or 2 days a week, and then they come back in the spring and play tackle. So
like every sport, there's just no such thing as an off season.
Not
The
anymore.
off season's gone.
So we're very lucky from the point of view that we work very well with the girls, and we're school first. We understand they're multi-sport athletes. We give them the latitude to, because if I'm anything, I am not a specialization guy. All of my kids, Logan played 3 sports all the way through to junior C and then left to go to school. Right, he played club volleyball and baseball and hockey all at the same time. We did a bunch of reports actually on, increased injuries and, getting out of the sport quickly and all those other things. So totally encourage the girls. We make concessions for girls that want to. We have girls that play hockey. We have girls that play basketball. Jess plays club volleyball as well. So
Right.
they're playing other sports as well. That development and getting out and doing other things is super important for us.
Well, I was going to say, I know you guys are in the midst of it. You're both very self-aware the way you talk about the sport and you and your abilities and everything. But have you ever thought how cool it is? You're pioneers right now in this area with all this. And again, you're in the midst of it, so maybe it hasn't hit you yet. But 10 years, 15 years down the road to see that ball rolling and catching steam, how cool is that to think about?
It's amazing, and having the ability to play for my province too, play for Team Ontario is kind of putting myself out there, and that's why I really want to get into sports marketing, because I want to be able to use my platform and share it with the world, because I know there's leagues out in Europe and down in Mexico, so if I was able to get around to everywhere and be able to share this, I would love to share my passion for the sport.
That's cool.
We have a great affiliation with the Detroit Prowl, actually across the border as well.
Okay.
So we went down and met with them last year. So they were the Upper Midwest women's national champions, because there's a women's pro league down there as well.
Wow.
So there is a progression that we're trying to build here.
Yeah.
So it's not just because our girls are going to age out, right? So
Yeah.
and we want them to have the opportunity, like we did, to continue and play the same way guys could go to Beefs or move on to the OFC and different things like that, right? The NFC, and so it's coming. It's amazing to be at the bottom end of it and kind of be able to look up on it and say, wow, she was recognized in the Women's Month by Football Ontario as one of the pioneers. So
Wow.
It's crazy that you're, we can grade 11, 12.
Yeah.
11 and you're a pioneer of a sport.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So like, as like you say, Kaden, like in 10 years, you'll be now like your play needs to be long gone behind you.
Yeah.
Because in sports world, you're ancient when you're 27 years old.
Yeah.
You'll have the knees of a 45-year-old.
Too late for that. It's already happening.
Well, and
So like you're gonna be like you're gonna look back and like maybe at that point girls are playing 12 on 12, and you had such an impact of why that growth happened. And it's gonna be a really cool thing to see.
And it's amazing to see my coaches at Team Ontario, Coach Carly and Coach Taylor. Coach Taylor helps coach the McMaster team at a university level.
Okay.
And Coach Carly plays for the U of T flag team as an offensive lineman.
Wow.
So, like, even just being able to see, like, people I look up to still playing the sport and kind of being, like, paving the way for us as much as I'm paving the way for the girls below me. It's just, I love it.
that's so cool. I was like, my daughter's going to be 7 here in May. Like 10 years from now, she's your age. She should be playing for sure, right?
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, were you recruiting my daughters when you came in? You're like, oh yeah, there's another one. There's another one.
Yeah, they're a little tall for their age,
Yeah.
right? So yeah.
back in the kitchen, put some weight on. That's the only kind of weird thing for Sean. He's like, because like his little girl is like, girls, y'all need to put on 5 pounds at a minimum. Right? And
Yeah.
they're like, oh no, I don't know if we can do that.
Well, I mean, and that was good. Like, but the next question is like, you're playing rugby, you're playing volleyball, you have football coming up. Like, how do you stay in football shape playing those other sports? Because like playing volleyball and football are two different like body types and movements.
Yeah.
And you need a little bit more meat when you're playing football.
Yeah, I just try to do a lot of, like, combo training. So, like, really just anytime I can get in the
So
gym.
you still
and
find time
spend
to do training too. Wow.
Yeah, I work out at Get Enhanced with Coach Marlin, so,
Okay.
So
he's great.
He's the guy that trained the Brown
Yeah.
twins.
Yeah.
So
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
No,
then.
he has me set up with all these different sorts of combination workouts that has me, like, doing jumping, weightlifting, everything. Because I really just need to be explosive. Because as a D end, it's really, like, jumping for blocking and jumping off the line kind of feels the same now.
You don't need 40 yards, you just need 10.
Yeah.
I tell people that all the time.
no, I know. I was a down lineman. I was a center and then a nose tackle for a long time.
You lived inside this telephone booth,
yeah.
right?
I don't care what your 40 is. If you want to know what your 10-yard split is, that's all I care.
100%.
And this year, there's 8 teams in the league,
There is, yeah.
and a little bit more. I mean, the farthest one is Ottawa. Is that correct?
Yeah, Cumberland's in the Ottawa Valley,
Okay.
then Kingston, Peel. There's 2 in London. Clarington is brand new this year.
Okay.
Brantford is brand new this year. The Bisons has a pretty strong boys program, now has started a girls program.
Right.
Some of the girls that played on Team Ontario have gone down to Brantford and kind of bolstered that crew. And then 2 teams in London, Mustangs have a team, and then Wolfpaac. And then the girl that was the starting quarterback for the Mustangs last year went down to Chatham. Now Chatham has a team now as well. So.
Okay. So, Dad, cover your ears. Is anybody ready for the smoke that's going to come out of this season? 'Cause
Absolutely
I can see it in your
not.
eyes already.
No, the girls on my team are so determined because we know that coming out of the top end of last summer season, we were the top dogs. And even though we missed fall, everybody knows how strong we are. So we don't want anybody to think that they can outdo us because we are the pioneers of this sport. Like, our girls want it more than anybody else.
For sure.
And I know that for a fact.
Love it.
Yeah, we returned 17 players from last year's team.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, the continuity. Like, that's just so amazing to have in this when you're pioneering a sport, bringing up, to be able to have people that want to make that happen with you, right?
100%.
Yeah.
No, what is the turnover like? I mean, is there people that show up and just don't like it?
Yeah, we've had a few. So people, it's various things. Sometimes it's boyfriends. Sometimes it's jobs. Sometimes it's just school. Like I said, we're very school first. All my teams, like, that's primary.
Yeah.
In the traditional Canadian student athlete model, as opposed to the U.S. Hey, I play some sports and I happen to go to a school at the same time.
Yeah.
Sort of model, but not a lot. Like, attrition has been really low. Even last year, our primary running back, she blew her ACL and MCL, had surgery. She just came back this weekend. Now she's probably going to end up moving to DN, but she's ready to get stride back up and go. So
Yeah, and you said so you started at 17, now you're at 27. Like, what is the right number to get to the second team that you were thinking about?
Well,
if it got to that point.
So minimum roster is 12 at any age group. So you're playing 6-on-6. You want to have some subs. You can't really have a lot of people going both ways. 12 is not a good place to be. We had unfortunately some teams last year that would bring 12 and only 10 were even eligible, were able to play there. You had some, you're addressing some injury. All sports do it, right? We'd really like to see. So as long as you stay 6-on-6, so there's talk of moving to 9-on-9 eventually as well as they move up. So for U16, 6-on-6, probably a good number is 18 to 20.
Okay.
And I definitely, for us, U19 won't go over 30.
Okay.
So that we'll kind of hit that pinnacle, but yeah, I think 20 is a good number for both squads. It's a little more, and it's interesting too as we progress. So for anyone who's thinking about getting in, they're not late because the speed of the game hasn't quite got there yet. So you have all these athletes who are still good athletes, but because they haven't intrinsically been kind of bred up through the system in football yet, the whole mechanism still takes some time. So it plays violent to a point, but it's not like, it's not like boys football where they've been playing since they were 6 and they're playing a couple times a week and they've trained for that point. And, they've refined the systems all along the way. So a lot of what we're doing is fairly new. So it takes, that speed element isn't quite there yet. So it's still physical. And, you can still get injured, but it isn't quite super violent where you would kind of pinhole football sometimes.
If she comes off the edge, I don't see her coming out. Someone's going to snap. I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah. So
she, our D coordinator Brian has been knocked over a few times by girls coming out of pads. So, and he's a big dude too. He was a lineman as well.
I think that we have to come out to a practice. So anytime we're invited to come to 100%. A practice, we'll definitely come. And I would like to see you come off the line with Kaylin trying to block.
What is
and
we always the one getting called
because we get after him pretty good.
Yeah, Kaylin's that guy that takes all.
I'm a redhead in the group, right?
And I would really, really like to see that. And I think that you're going to destroy him. But we got 40 or 50 seconds left. Just tell everyone why they should sign up for this league.
It's really just something new to try, and even if you've never done football, it's always something out there. Our team's always open for girls just to come try it out for a practice, and if you don't like it, it's totally okay. It's such an open community, no matter who you are, what you are, we accept you, and we're accepting of everybody, no matter what. I consider all these girls my sisters, and people I would text about anything. Anything goes wrong in my life, they're the first people I'm there. I know they're there for me, and our team is just so accepting of everybody. Our coaches, they do their best to recognize that it's a new sport for most of us, and it still goes so well every week, and I'm so proud of how far we've come.
That's amazing. Cool. And if there's anybody out there that's looking to get in touch with us, we'll definitely link you up with Scott. And we appreciate you taking the time. I know that you're just about to start the season. We'll definitely come out and see you, and we'll see everybody next week.